Welcome back to the Sustainable Jungle podcast. I'm Joy, and in this new season, we're doing things a little differently. If you're a long-time listener, you'll know that we've always featured people doing incredible things to help our planet and communities thrive. And while we'll still bring you those stories from time to time, our main focus is now to share the journeys of the brands that we've rated through our Sustainable Jungle brand rating system. Why this shift? Because greenwashing is everywhere and it's harder than ever to tell which brands are genuinely making an impact. So we built our own rating system, which is a framework for assessing the sustainability and ethical practices of consumer brands, structured around 4 core elements, being nature and animals, communities and well-being, business values and governance, and product performance. You can find out more about our approach on our website, which I will share in the show notes. Today's guest is Jennifer Roberge, who is one of the co-founders of The Kind Pet, an online retailer of ethical pet supplies, and now also the owner of Boba Vespa, a sustainable pet product brand that we recently awarded our very top rating. In this episode, we'll learn more about Jennifer's journey into sustainable business, how she's bringing far more sustainable materials and ethical values into the pet industry, and what it really means to run a mission-driven brand in today's world. And coming soon, we'll also be launching a members-only space where you'll get extended content from interviews just like this one, as well as other special extras. In our members-only segment with Jennifer, we go deeper into some of the more personal challenges of building a sustainable business, from tough trade-offs to staying motivated when the path isn't always clear. More details on memberships to come soon, but if you'd like to register your interest in the meantime, there is a link in the show notes to do just that. All right, let's get stuck into the conversation. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I've been really looking forward to this conversation. Let's start with you. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. I was born in Augusta, Georgia, and then lived in New Jersey, grew up in New Jersey, and now I live in Montreal, Canada.
Fun. And what was it that first sparked your interest in sustainability, especially as it relates to the pet industry, perhaps?
Yeah, so that kind of goes back to the birth of my first son. He was born with severe eczema. Not right away. It developed pretty quickly within the first few days and just got worse and worse. And I should add that back then, this was 16 years ago. We were eating a very typical diet, American diet, and weren't really super concerned about our health or holistic living. It was just very typical. It's how I was raised. And so that's all I knew. And so my son's skin kept getting worse and the doctors were prescribing steroids and all of that. And we just realized my intuition kind of kicked in, my mom gut, and it was like, this is not the answer. Like, you can't, this little baby, you can't just keep giving him harder and harder medication, stronger doses. This doesn't make sense. Like, what's going on? And we moved to Montreal from the US. We moved to Canada, and it's very European minded here. And we have a lot of holistic practitioners. So we were really lucky to be surrounded by that. And my mother-in-law was really, she had been through her own health journey. And so took that as an opportunity to kind of take me under her wing and start teaching me a few things. And soon we realized that healing him holistically, looking at his whole person, is what really helped change him. We looked at his gut and his we looked at using natural skincare and all these things, right? So and then you start reading, he developed allergies. And so you start reading food allergies, you start reading the labels, and then you realize, oh my gosh, what are we putting into our bodies? And this is crazy. I don't understand half the ingredients on this food label. That's ridiculous. And so kind of started us on this wellness. So I always like to say that eczema was the best and worst thing that happened to us, because it changed the way our family ate and cleaned and everything, right? We went to this really natural whole foods cooking, and everything shifted. And so with that, this is kind of like the avalanche that happens, or the snowball, I should say. You go, you get on the rabbit hole. There's a lot of analogies there, but it was the beginning, right? It's oh my gosh, now we've got our food is good. We know what we're eating and putting into our bodies, but what about the cleaning products? And what about everything else? And all this plastic you start to notice everywhere. And it was that's kind of how that started. And then I very consciously tried to be as zero waste as possible. I never got as good as a lot of, you heard the stories about people having their garbage in the little tiny can, a whole year's worth of garbage. We had a family of 4 and 2 really young kids at the time. So that was really tough. We did our best, and we cut our garbage consumption by I don't know. I think we cut it a lot. It was amazing. So it felt good. And then then we got a puppy, and then it's like, let's go shopping for the puppy. And then you go to the store and you see all the plastic waste and all these materials that are like questionable, and just plastic toys too, and like the food. Of course, I read the labels for me, so I'm like, I don't know if I started reading labels immediately, but pretty quickly after, I was like, goodness, like my dog had he had like eye drainage really bad, and the person we got the dog from was like, oh yeah, he'll be like that forever or whatever. And I was like, maybe we could try his diet, changing his diet like we did for my son. And sure enough, like his eye drainage went away. It only comes a few times a year. I think it's like some allergies to like pollen a little bit maybe. But he's like so much better. And so all that to say, it was like we were getting this dog and we wanted to like give him like the best, like our family, you know, and we wanted to make sure he was getting like good toys, and, you know, making sure like the leashes and collars weren't like just plastic crap. And so that's kind of where like I had started this other, I didn't say this at first, but I had started a company around my son's eczema, providing natural solutions for people with eczema to help them manage their skin. And so that kind of was like, well, that's working. I know how to do that. I can help people find better, safer products for them, their pets, and the planet as well. So that's kind of how the Kind Pet was born. That's a really long story, but like I was really upset, and my business partner, Laura, we were really upset with like the options that were out there. So we just decided to take it upon ourselves to create the first marketplace for sustainable pet products. So that's the Kind Pet.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's wild. We got a dog as well, and when we first went shopping for him for his toys, I was also like on the journey of zero waste, and just horrified that there was no good options. And you'd buy these toys. We ended up going to the thrift store and buying like plush toys there for him, but they would last like a minute. You know, he would just rip them up. It just felt like such a waste.
And now what's in it and what's getting in your dog's stomach, right? So that polyfill and like all the like yucky stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally. And he ate everything. Just swallowed it. So yeah, it wasn't good. So that brings us to the Kind Pet. So for those familiar with the Kind Pet, could you tell us, who are not familiar with the Kind Pet, could you tell us what kind of products do you focus on? What is it? What do you sell?
Sure. Well, we would like to be able to sell the most sustainable options of all different types of products, so people can come to our store and realize, no, they don't have to worry about greenwashing. They know that something they get from us is going to be literally the best option for them and the planet. But it can be hard, right? Like not all the products, it's not easy to find products that we feel are sustainable enough to offer at the store. So we're doing our best to make products available, but basically we source brands. Since our warehouse is based in Michigan, we look for brands that are in United States and Canada, so to keep the footprint low. We also don't ship outside of the US and Canada to keep the footprint low, and we only offer like normal shipping, no expedited and all that. We look for, when we're looking at brands, we look for minority owned if possible, BIPOC. We look for the full circular footprint. So like where something is made and where the materials are from, how it's made, when I say where it's made, what happens at the end of the life, what is the packaging like, those type of things.
You outline all of that, you know, and what happens at the end of the life as well, which is very cool.
Yeah, and it's tough because you could find something that's made in the USA and then, you know, a woman-owned business, and it's made with like a material that that's just going to go in the garbage into the life. So it's like there's certain things you have to like, it's been really hard for us to kind of figure out like on the scale, you know, we don't have a perfect system of figuring out which of those things. Sometimes it's really hard to like make that choice and like what is the best. So like for us, end of life is super important. So we really focus on things that can be either recycling, we know is broken, so it's not our favorite. Composting and zero waste are the best. We figured most people that come to us will compost either through the city or their own. So we try to focus on that like the most when possible. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything that you look at a brand and you're like, okay, that's got a good end of life outcome, but this other thing is a deal breaker? Is there anything where you're like immediately no if you see the brand?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things, but one of the things that's been hung up on is like, how do we find there's a lot of like cat litter, and the cat litter boxes is a big thing. So like a lot of good cat litter is made in China. So it's like, you know, they're doing tofu or like these alternative materials, but they ship from far. So you're like, that doesn't make sense. It's heavy shipping that stuff. Why are we buying anything from that far away? So that's been hard. We found recently a hemp supplier that does supplies us with really nice hemp litter from the United States, US farmed, everything. It's awesome. The other thing we had a hard time with, and we don't have an answer yet, was litter boxes, because we know plastic's not great, bamboo's not great, because what do you do? Like not bamboo, but silicone, even bamboo, you can't really recycle it. It's got usually has a coating that's not good on it. There's a lot of, the best thing that we found is stainless, and stainless, it's only made in China. Nobody's making it anywhere except China. We've tried to talk to companies in the US to make it, and it's been really tough. So there's things like that it's well, we're not selling it. Should we make that? Because that is literally what we think is the best, right? That's stainless steel. It can be recycled. It can be used for probably 20 cat lives, right? So many different cats. It can be handed down. So is that the most sustainable option? Probably. So, but it's made in China, and it's and it comes in plastic bags because they have to protect the stainless. And so it's just all these things, right? They a lot of people don't think about them, but we have to think about all of that. And it's what is really the best answer? Do we wait? Yeah. So anyway, it's
such a trade-off. Yeah, it is so tricky.
Is a trade-off. And the other thing is so one of the things about our store is it's a trade-off, right? You have to decide for yourself, what are your values when it comes to sustainability? Because sustainability can be defined in a lot of different ways. I think for us, we like to look at all of it and kind of decide, collectively, what kind of rating, you have your rating system. So what would be the best rated there, and go that way. But it can be really tricky to determine what is the best. We're doing our best to make the best products available.
I mean, that's all any of us can do, right? Yeah, progress over perfection. Actually, we rated a water bottle brand who buy their their recycled stainless steel from China, from a BCSI certified factory. So I can let you know about that if you like, because it's mostly recycled stainless steel. So that's pretty good.
That's nice.
As far as stainless steel goes, right? So
you're elevating that one more step, right? It's not just stainless, but it's recycled stainless. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be an option. But let's talk about Boba and Vespa. So that's a brand that the Kind Pet acquired in 2023. And it was the subject of our rating that we did with you specifically. So for those who don't know that brand, what products does it offer?
Yeah, so Boba and Vespa, we're a marketplace first, right? And one of our brands that we were selling, that was one of our favorites, was Boba and Vespa, and we love their products because they're made from natural materials that can be composted. There's absolutely zero plastic, and the filling is 100% organic cotton from the US, and the stitching, everything, right? A lot of times people get away with stitching that's not cotton or compostable, right? But everything is hemp and cotton and natural stuff. So they make dog toys. And so they were going out of business, and we were really sad. So we did a crazy thing, and it was very hard, but we acquired their company. So now I guess we're the Kind Pet, but we have Boba Vespa as one of our product lines. And they make really great compostable cat and dog toys. We make them. So they were originally made in LA, Los Angeles, and we've moved production now to Minnesota. And it's a female-owned manufacturing facility, their design house and facility. And they're really great. So that was one big change we made, was shifting it to this female-owned company.
Very cool. And it's cat toys as well, right? I was amazed by the organic catnip. I was I didn't know that was a thing. There you go.
Yeah. Organic catnip, and we use buckwheat for crinkly sounds, and the catnip, the organic catnip, and cute little cat and dog toys. And they're all very I like them because they're a modern look, so you're not embarrassed if they're laying around your house, they're cute and kind of trendy looking and simple, minimalist kind of look. Yeah, they're nice. They're not flashy and crazy colors, which is fine. A lot of people like that, but this is more of a modern look.
They're very stylish, and I love that they can just be chucked in the compost bin when the dog rips them up eventually, right?
We'd like to say, if you can, you're going to give it a better chance of composting fast if you cut everything into pieces, right? If you a whole rope toy in the compost, it's going to take a lot longer than if you cut it up into as small pieces as possible. So that's what we recommend.
Yeah, that's so great. The number of plastic toys I've had to throw in the bin when I felt so guilty solves that problem.
Yeah. It's not even just like in the bin. You think about those pieces coming off in the belly. So like one of the the Kind Pet, the marketplace, we sell there's a company that makes bones made from nylon. And I don't think a lot of people necessarily think immediately that that's plastic. It's just such a popular toy. Everybody gives their dog these nylon toys. They're like bone shapes and flavors and all that stuff. And they don't think about it. But like I grew up with my dog eating those, and like they literally eat them, right? They chew them. And then those little pieces of plastic, where do you think they go? In their bellies. And then so that we're learning now that microplastics are really dangerous, right? For humans, for all animals, like they're finding it's crossing the brain barrier. It's not good, right? And then not only that, then it comes out the other side. And so, that can get washed away into the waterways. And it's just like adding to all of the... So anyway, we found this really cool company. They're called Better Bone, and they are made with sugarcane and cellulose. And so, they can eat it. It's fine. It gets into the land. It biodegrades over time. It gets amazing.
Very cool. So we were of course thrilled to rate Boba and Vespa. They are one of our top rated brands. So congrats again. I wanted to know from your perspective, was there anything in particular that you think stands out as helping achieve that rating?
What about it that makes it a really good brand or why I think it's scored so well is that the end of life, right? Like almost all dog toys end up in the landfill, and that is like the only option. I really can't think of, I don't know, I can't think of any other toys that, unless rope toys, right? Most rope toys are cotton, those are fine, but like interesting toys, they all go in the garbage. Like that's it. So I would say that's probably one of the main things is that the products are zero waste, plastic free, compostable. I think that's probably one of the biggest thing. But I mean, if you look at the whole, circular footprint, it's the same. It's like, made in the USA and where you do at the end of the life. So I don't know. I think the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like when I was doing the rating, the materials that are used in Boba and Vespa, that just helps the brand perform well in so many other criteria. So things like chemical use, water use, circularity, and of course, end-of-life outcomes, they're all covered by the choice in materials. So I think that choice to go with those materials like organic cotton and buckwheat and catnip and so on just make all the difference for so many different criteria. So I think that one for me really stands out as the key feature for these products. And so, we talked about Repurpose Global. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that and any other sort of new things that are happening in the world of the Boba and Vespa or the Kind Pet.
Yeah. So Repurpose, we decided to partner with Repurpose. So with the Boba and Vespa line, the idea is that it's the items are already plastic free. And by working with Repurpose, what they do is it's a program to remove plastics from the ocean. So we are considered plastic negative because of that, which is really cool. And I like to say that. I'm like, we're plastic negative. It sounds good. It felt good. It feels good. And I feel like the more you talk about that stuff and you say we're plastic negative, and people will be like, what's that? And how? And so you get to spread like the good message and people learn from it. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
And other good things coming. I'll say real quick that we're looking to kind of expand into more enrichment type toys. So a lot of the toys we have right now are fun and you can play. They're playful. They're toys, but we want to think of more mind games and puzzle type things made from good material. So that's that's very difficult because all the puzzles and enrichment toys now are made of plastic and silicone most of the time has plastic fillers in it. Rubber has plastic filler in it almost all the time. In fact, we have not found any brand that's making rubber toys without plastic in it. So that's what we're investigating now. New innovative materials that can be composted that are interesting. I mean, God, there's so many cool things out there right now, material-wise, with doing things with sugarcane and doing things with hemp and creating like plastic alternatives. It's really fun. It's a fun place to be and to be like a lot of innovation happening in materials.
That's so exciting. I would love that for our dog. Our dog has recently decided to go back to his puppy stage, even though he's 6 years old, and he wants to destroy everything just out of the blue. And we think it's because we put him on a diet because he looks like he's got a basketball in his stomach. Yeah, I think he's just acting up because we let it get a bit out of control because we have a 3-year-old. We're distracted. The 3-year-old's constantly giving him food, And so he's gotten overweight. And so now we put him on a diet, and now he just wants to destroy everything. Like every night he comes to show us something that he's stolen and then runs outside, and we have to chase him around the garden to get it back before he destroys it. And I think having something that's got a bit of stimulation for him would be good. But I don't want to buy any of that stuff. And longer term aspirations for the Kind Pet. Is there anything exciting coming up, more broadly for the business?
Oh, right. Yes. So, we were talking about trying to make some enrichment toys for Boba and Vespa. For the Kind Pet, we're always looking for new brands that are doing really fun things, that are new and different, and that can help people make better choices for, their pets and the planet, that are sustainable and the whole supply chain, circular. It's really hard, but we're always looking for that. And we're also looking for really innovative materials. Some of these materials are, like I said, rubber without plastic fillers, which is really, really hard to find. And that was one of the key education components is for us, it's super important because a lot of brands say they have natural rubber. And yes, they do take rubber from the tree. It's natural. They process it well. But then to create a toy or something with rubber as a material, you have to add binders and a lot of other ingredients. But the worst to me is the binder. And it's almost, 99.5% of the time, it's plastic. It's a plastic poly type filler. And people aren't aware of that. And so education is really important for us at the Kind Pet, teaching about that, making people think about the nylon toys and what's happening to these plastic things that your dog or your cat is chewing. It's and the impact on the body and what happens afterwards, where it goes into the waterways eventually if it's not being cleaned up properly. And so there's a lot to think about. Education is hugely important. So that is actually something we're really focusing on. We started this brand a few years ago, and we just feel like we haven't hit the education part hard enough. And we want to be really, it was one of our goals in the beginning to be advocates, right? And really get the word out and make people think about what they're buying. And so that's a huge thing that we're going to be doing this year and ongoing, I would say. Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, the natural rubber mixed with plastic thing just makes me mad. It's greenwashing, right? At the end of the day, it's not.
What's really sad is I've found there's a lot of brands that actually don't know about that, and they're selling their products and labeling it as, they're labeling it as natural rubber, and they didn't ask the full story, right? They don't ask what are the ingredients going into this product. We were working with a manufacturer. We wanted to start creating rubber dog toys, and I met them at a show, and they're like, yes, natural rubber. There's no plastic. It's great. We went way down the channel. We went way down with them towards the very end. We were going to start producing, and I was like, I really want to see. You keep saying plastic free, but everybody I'm meeting, I'm like, can you send the list? And of course, poly filler. I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's hidden. People don't realize. And it's this greenwashing. But I think half the brands aren't doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think they even realize. They just see the natural word and they cling to that and they trust the manufacturer.
Mm.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I guess the manufacturer needs the education too, because they're like, this is natural rubber. What's the problem?
Yeah, we almost fell into the trap, I'm like, there's been several times where it's we had close calls where it's you want to trust somebody, or the way they say it, it's fine, but then you need to see the science or the studies or the ingredients, and it's just boggles the mind that this stuff is not common knowledge. Anyway, it's sad though. It's very sad. So anyway, we hope to educate and make people think about those things.
I think you would get on really well with the founder of the Very Good Bra, who we've had on the podcast before, and she's one of the rated brands. And she tells similar stories of going to suppliers and asking for, because her whole thing is that her underwear that she designs is completely compostable in your worm bin, from end to end.
Amazing.
And so, but to get to that point was in an enormous effort, because she had to try and find the right suppliers and so on. And the suppliers, I'm probably butchering the story, so you might have to go back and listen to this properly. But the problem was she would ask the suppliers and they would say, yes, no, it's 100% natural. And then she would get it. And as you said before, the thread had a poly in it of some form. And she'd be like, no. And all her testing and everything proved that it was not, 100% natural. So it was a huge journey for her to find the suppliers that understood what she was actually trying to do. And, had the education themselves to know. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I have digressing, you can cut this if you want, but digressing, like my other business, my original business that was all around eczema, we started making skincare. And our primary ingredient, our active kind of ingredient was Manuka honey. And we were kind of changing the formula and looking around and needed to change manufacturers. It was made in really, really small batches and it wasn't enough. So we were looking to work with a larger manufacturer, and all the ones we sourced, or everyone that I spoke to, I asked them, can you send me your certificate of analysis and your proof that it's actually Manuka honey? Because Manuka honey has to go through rigorous testing. There's like 3 or 4 tests by the government in New Zealand, and it's like verified. It's this whole thing, right? And no one could provide me the proof that it was Manuka honey. So wow. I found one company, years of research, one company that could supply that to me. And so we're working with them now. But it was like, are you kidding me? So it's like, how many people are paying Manuka honey prices, which are high, and they're not getting actual Manuka honey? Like it's fraudulent and it's terrible. And it's just like, I think it's hard as a consumer. Like you have to really trust the brand, and because you don't really know. And like the brand probably wouldn't fully hand over like the ingredient list and all the suppliers where everything's come, right? Some of that's like trade secret a bit, but yeah, you have to trust them because man, they may not know what they're doing, or they might be lying. They may be covering things up, or maybe it's like omission of information, or they just really don't know, and it's scary.
That's disappointing, isn't it? Yeah. It shows really you have to ask the questions. Yeah. So, and actually this is a good segue. So what role do you think mission-focused businesses like yours play in shifting the pet products industry or the skincare industry, any major industry, to more sustainable practices?
Yeah, I think it's leading by example because, for example, when we go to these trade shows and walk the floor and people try to get us to come to their table and it's like all these plastic packaging and blah, blah, blah. We're like, sorry, we're plastic free, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's actually possible. So it's fun. It's fun to see that because it opens their eyes, and they're like, a lot of times we get laughter because they're like, yeah, right. Right. Everybody has plastic, and they don't believe it. But I think the more they hear, it's like the more they hear it, I like to say it loud and proud because I'm like, that's the way people hear and they learn, right? I like to talk about it on social media personally, even, like about the things that we change and do because that's it. I used to embarrass my husband. Like you go get coffee at the airport and you have like your own mug, but occasionally you forget your mug and then it's like you have to use a cup and you're like, no, I don't want the top. I don't want the plastic top. I don't want the plastic straw. I don't want all that stuff. And my husband's like, why are you saying that? Like, oh my gosh, you're making a scene. I was like, I'm not making a scene. Like, I'm just stating maybe people are going to hear, learn and think. And next time they go get a coffee, like, do you really need the plastic? I'm like, the coffee cup in itself is bad enough, but like, do you need the plastic lid? Do you need the like little plastic straw to like stir stuff? Like, that's just, I don't know. So anyway, leading by example and like talking about it, education is really important. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I think that's a great answer. And for people listening who want to make better choices for their pet, they're pet parents and they want to do better for their pet, what's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I would say just try to do one thing. There's a woman from the food allergy world that I really like, Robin O'Brien, and she always said, do one thing. So it's super overwhelming to just say today, I'm going to be zero waste, or I am going to be like the most sustainable pet parent and everyone's going to like come to me for advice or whatever. And I'm just going to make all these changes like that. Like it doesn't work that way. It's really hard. It's hard to make these choices sometimes, right? So we like to say, like Laura and I, we know everybody's journey is different. Everybody's values are different. Like, where do you want to make the biggest impact? What's the most important to you? Or is it packaging? Is it diet? Like I don't know, what is it? And then just pick one thing and make that change today. Like, it's usually not hard if you do one thing at a time, like one small thing, and that can lead and snowball, right? You do that one thing and then you feel good about it. And you're like, that wasn't so hard. Then you can choose the next thing. So for me, it's that it's picking one thing and knowing that like your journey you can't compare your journey and sustainability to anybody else's, right? Like yours is different, unique, where you're starting from, what you're interested in changing right away. It's all going to be different. And everybody has different financial means to make some of the sustainable choices are a lot more expensive. Sometimes it's cheaper, like going to secondhand shops and doing it yourself, things like that, which we promote hugely. But yeah, everybody's journey is different. And so to also trust yourself, love yourself, know that like your choice is your choice and it's okay, and do your best. That's it.
And this might be a similar question, but the idea is that it's a bit more macro. So sort of zooming out a bit and thinking about life more holistically and how we live. This is a question we ask everyone on the podcast. We've always asked this. It's a bit of a doozy. But if you could have one piece of information or advice truly heard or understood by everyone on the planet, like you would just zip it into their brain and everyone would understand and truly understand and feel what it is that you want them to know, what would it be?
Gosh, that is a doozy. But I kind of would go back to I don't want to duplicate an answer, but I feel like my last answer still applies. The do one thing, because it's the same, right? Like no one should feel overwhelmed. And it's so easy to feel overwhelmed when you see what's happening with our planet and you want to make all these changes right away. But that's not possible. And you could be kind and gentle to yourself and the planet and like do things on your terms, slowly, one thing at a time, take it at your own pace. And it's really easy to say, but to let go of some of that like guilt, right? About not doing it all right away and just moving forward and making changes as you can. That's the best you can do. And that's all anybody can ask of you, or like, so to feel good about that and just one thing at a time, and that's okay. Slow and steady wins the race. It's not like trying to do it all at once.
Yeah, the guilt's huge. I think that's great advice. Yeah, because it can prevent people from making change, right? Because
I personally had a huge time I had a really hard time, and I kind of had to step back. I was doing a lot of activism work around zero waste and sustainability in general, and like high schools and like all this stuff. And during COVID, I had to pull back hard because I just got so overwhelmed with thinking about the medical waste and like all this. I literally became paralyzed from like the overwhelm, and I froze. It was awful, and I felt really terrible. But then you just have to think like, what can you do? What can you change? And take it slower. And the collective, it's hard to imagine like that big, right? But you can make change. And it frustrates me when people say one person can't make a difference, and I disagree. I'm like, one person, you could talk to somebody about it. They see you leading by example, and like they learn from you. And like my business partner Laura. Sorry, I'm going on now. I'm on a tangent.
Go for it. Go.
When we first met, she was not on the wagon yet. She definitely was on the wagon, and she saw like, things I was doing and heard me we're just having conversations, and she started trying things one thing at a time. And now she's like an eco champion, and she's like, everybody can do this. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Lead by example. Yeah, you do a great job of leading by example.
Thanks. I get excited about it too. Sorry. I get a little about it.
I mean, that's why we're here, to share these stories, right? So where can listeners go to support The Kind Pet and Boba and Vespa? Where can they find you?
Sure. So The Kind Pet, we have our marketplace online. So it's thekindpet.com. And then our Instagram is The Kind Pet Co. CO. So those are the two places to find us now. And you can, if you want education around this, we talk a lot about what you can do and choices you can make on the Instagram channel. And then you can join our newsletter at thekindpet.com. And we do a lot. We send out newsletters with information and ideas to make change and things like that. So those are good if you're interested in to make one better choice as often as you can, and like to improve and make better choices. Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea. Good resource. Yeah. We'll put the links as well in our show notes so folks can find you very easily there as well.
Great.
So Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story. We'll now go and cover a few more topics which will form part of our members only content. So for those listening who may be interested in supporting us by becoming a member and getting exclusive access to content, among many other cool things, please stay tuned. We'll be sharing more on how to do that really, really soon. A huge thank you to Jennifer for sharing her story and for the important work that she's doing with The Kind Pet and Boba and Vespa. It's always so inspiring to hear from founders who are building businesses not just to sell great products, but to make real impact in the world and to do right by animals, people, and the planet. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and that it gave you a feel for what's ahead in this new series where we spotlight the brands working hard behind the scenes to build better, more sustainable systems. And just a quick reminder that we'll soon be launching our members-only content where you can access extended episodes and extra resources. So if you want to go deeper with these stories, keep an ear out or register your interest using the link in the show notes below. And as with all podcasts, as you know, following and liking and reviewing are all amazing things to do to support the show. So we would appreciate it if you did any of those things. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.